Welcome to AI Book Highlights.
Hi there.
Today, we're stepping back, way back, to explore a really foundational text on strategy.
Sun Tzu's The Art of War. It's iconic, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we're using Thomas Cleary's translation as our sort of guide here.
Yeah, it's a great version. This isn't just ancient history or military stuff.
No, not at all.
The insights on, like, competition, leadership, planning, they apply almost anywhere.
That's what's so amazing about it. It's really about outthinking challenges, not just, brute force.
Right. Smart strategy.
So our plan today is to pull out 5 key highlights from the book.
And then boil those down into 3 really practical, actionable takeaways.
Things you can actually use for leadership, making decisions, understanding conflict, that sort of thing.
Without getting totally lost in the weeds, we're aiming for clarity.
Exactly. So let's dive in, starting with the first highlight right from chapter 1, laying plans.
Ah, yes, the planning phase. Super critical.
He kicks things off by saying war is, well, it's incredibly serious, a matter of life and death for the state.
Yeah, a road to either safety or ruin, I think he says. You absolutely can't neglect it.
And the core idea here isn't just plan, it's the depth of the planning.
Before you do anything, the general needs to make calculations. Lots of them.
In his temple, or tent, as Cleary puts it, meticulously working it all out.
And he gives that framework, those 7 considerations, right, for figuring out if you'll win or lose.
Yeah, things like the moral standing of the leader,
The general's ability, the terrain, discipline.
strength, training, rewards, and punishments. You have to assess all that before you engage.
That's like a strategic audit almost. Know yourself, know the enemy, know the ground.
And he's really direct about it. Listen to good counsel, act on it, you win, ignore it.
You lose. Simple as that, in his view. Value that strategic thinking.
Okay, so that's planning. Highlight number 2 comes from the next chapter, waging war.
Right. And this one hits hard on the cost, the sheer expense of conflict.
And because of that cost, the absolute need for speed.
He details how much it drains a state's resources. Just feeding and equipping an army. It's massive, daily.
And he warns, if you let it drag on, if victory takes too long,
Your weapons get dull, spirits drop, the treasury empties.
and you become vulnerable, right? Other powers might see an opportunity.
Exactly. It creates weakness. Prolonged war just grinds you down.
Sun Tzu is pretty blunt here. He says there's basically no example of a country actually benefiting from a long war.
None. Zero. It's quite a statement.
So the takeaway is you need to understand how bad war is to know how to do it profitably.
Which means decisively. Quickly.
Yeah, the skillful general, he says, gets it done fast, avoids needing more supplies, more men, cross the border, get to it.
Saves time, saves resources, minimizes the damage. Speed is key. It's about efficiency, really.
Moving to our third highlight, attack by stratagem, chapter 3. This is maybe one of his most famous ideas.
Ah, subduing the enemy without fighting. The ultimate goal.
Yeah, the best way isn't destruction. It's taking the enemy's state whole, their army intact.
It's about strategic brilliance over brute force. Compelling surrender, not annihilation.
The skillful leader, he claims, can take cities without sieges, overthrow kingdoms without long campaigns.
Sounds almost impossible, but it points to the power of strategy, intelligence, psychological pressure.
Making the fight unnecessary because you've already won strategically, minimum cost, maximum result.
And he gives those 5 essentials for victory.
Right. Knowing when to fight, when not to.
Handling different force sizes. Unity of purpose,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Being prepared when the enemy isn't. And being adaptable, not rigid in your plans.
That adaptability is crucial. And he even mentions, like, if you outnumber the enemy 2 to 1.
Divide your forces. Use one for a direct attack, the other for a diversion. Outmaneuver them.
Yeah, it shows a sophisticated understanding of tactics even then.
Okay. Highlight number 4, energy, chapter 5. This dives into deception and discipline.
2 sides of the same coin, really.
He says managing a huge army is like managing a small one. It's all about organization, signals.
Breaking it down into manageable parts. Clear communication.
And then he introduces Cheng and Qi.
The direct and the indirect. The orthodox and the unorthodox.
And how combining these two creates like endless tactical options, like mixing colors or musical notes.
It's about keeping the enemy off balance, being unpredictable.
But here's the clever part. To fake disorder, you need perfect discipline.
Right. It's counterintuitive.
To seem afraid, you actually need real courage. To look weak, you need underlying strength.
It's all about creating a false impression based on solid foundations within your own ranks. concealing your true state.
He uses that great example of Sun Pin tricking Pang Chuan.
Oh yeah, pretending to retreat and reducing the cooking fires each night.
Made his army look like it was shrinking, deserting. Lured Pang Chuan right into an ambush.
Classic deception. Shows how powerful manipulating perception can be. Make the enemy miscalculate.
So good. Okay, fifth and final highlight, Chapter 8, Variation in Tactics.
This brings it back to adaptability, which we touched on earlier.
But here, it's the core focus. Tactics must be varied. There are countless ways things can go differently than planned.
No fixed approach works everywhere, every time. The situation dictates the tactics.
He lists specific scenarios. Don't camp in difficult terrain. Link up with allies at crossroads.
Don't linger in isolated spots. Use stratagem when you're hemmed in. Fight hard when desperate.
It's about reading the situation, the terrain in a broad sense, and reacting smartly.
Understanding the advantages and disadvantages of each specific context.
And he makes that radical point. Sometimes you gotta ignore the ruler's commands.
If they conflict with military reality on the ground, yeah, the general has to have that autonomy.
It underscores that need for flexible, situation-based decision-making.
Absolutely. And he wraps it up by listing those 5 dangerous faults in general: recklessness, cowardice,
Hasty temper, being too concerned with honor or shame.
or even being too solicitous of your troops if it compromises the mission. It's about balance.
Okay, so those are the 5 highlights. Let's pivot now to the actionable takeaways. How can we use this stuff?
Right, let's make it practical.
Takeaway number 1, strategic foresight. This comes right from that first chapter on planning.
Basically, before any big move, a project, a negotiation, whatever, do your homework thoroughly.
Don't just jump in. Think about all the factors, the costs, the potential outcomes before you commit.
Ask yourself those Sun Tzu questions, but adapted. What's the core goal? What are my capabilities, my teams?
What's the environment like? Our strengths, weaknesses, our level of readiness, our resources.
How consistent are we? Really digging into that analysis up front, it's invaluable.
Doing that kind of audit gives you clarity and helps avoid nasty surprises down the road.
It grounds your actions in reality.
Okay, takeaway number 2, agility and adaptability. This echoes that variation in tactics chapter.
Yeah, the key here is don't be rigid. Don't stick to plan A just because it's plan A.
Be ready and willing to adjust your approach based on what's actually happening.
The situation changes, so you need to change too. Be like water, as they say.
Assess the terrain of your current situation, the opportunities, the roadblocks.
And then shift your tactics accordingly. Flexibility is strength in dynamic situations.
It lets you navigate challenges more effectively, maybe even turn obstacles into advantages.
Exactly. Resilience comes from that adaptability.
And the third takeaway, the power of calculated deception. This pulls from energy and attack by stratagem.
Now, this sounds a bit sneaky, maybe, but it's not necessarily about lying.
Right, it's more about managing perceptions, being smart about the information you share and the impression you create.
Thinking strategically about how you present things. What do you emphasize? What do you downplay?
Could an indirect approach work better sometimes? Maybe seeming weaker or less interested than you are.
Or moving in an unexpected way. It's about influencing how others see the situation, to your advantage.
Using perception as a tool, but ethically, thoughtfully. It's about strategic communication.
Understanding that how things appear can be just as important as the underlying reality in shaping outcomes.
Okay, so strategic foresight, agility and adaptability, and the power of calculated deception. 3 big takeaways.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Drawn from insights thousands of years old.
It really is just a glimpse, isn't it? The art of war has so much depth.
Absolutely. But hopefully this gives you a good sense of its core wisdom.
We hope it's given you some valuable perspectives on, strategic thinking, adaptable leadership, things that are relevant every day.
Its principles really do apply broadly: business, personal life, understanding the world. It's quite remarkable.
So if this sparked your interest and you want to explore Sun Tzu's ideas more deeply,
We definitely recommend picking up the book. Thomas Cleary's translation is excellent.
yeah, it's very accessible. You can find a link to purchase it right in the description below.
It's well worth the read.
It really is. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on AI Book Highlights.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.